Good afternoon. This is the City of Liberty Lake Parks and Arts Commission, and I'm Nancy Hill. Today is Monday, April 8, 2024, and it's 4 p.m. We'd like to start the meeting by doing our roll call. Nancy Hill, present. David Hunbaugh.
Present.
Laura Frank is absent. Tom Chamberlain is also absent. John Barr.
Present.
Noel Otterson Laparco. Present. Bob Schneidmiller. Can you hear me, Bob? Is he still on?
He's on.
Okay, Bob is here on Zoom. Katie Ferris.
Present.
Joni Hay is going to be absent today. And Allison Pegram, you're on Zoom?
Yep, present.
Hi, Allison. Staff present, we have Tate Hunter, Jen Camp, we have our city administrator, Mark, and Mikkel Stevens, is he on Zoom?
He is.
Okay. All right, that's everyone. We'll do the approval of the March 4, 2024 minutes. They're in your packet, everyone. Did you have a chance to look at them? And if so, do you have any updates or do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve them.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved by Noel, second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Please show the minutes are approved as written. Moving on to citizen comments. Do we have any citizens? None in the room. I see anybody online. Michael? Okay. Seeing no citizen comments, we'll move on to our unfinished and new business, starting with the Trailhead Art Wall. David, do you want to start us off with that, or do you want me to?
The Trailhead Art Wall. No, I'll defer to you on that.
Okay.
I don't have anything prepared for that.
Okay, well, if you look in your packet, David and I had a brief discussion because we've been
Oh,
out and measured
my
the wall.
Go
Do
ahead.
you want to take
No,
it?
you're okay.
Okay. So you'll see a photo of the San Diego Zoo and also a photo of a map out of Stowe, Vermont. And then on your table, you have these maps of Liberty Lake. So we were talking about the dilemma of the art wall well, not the dilemma, but challenge of the art wall going into the pro shop. Because they would prefer that obviously maybe there's some kind of a golf theme since you're walking into a pro shop area, and how are we going to address that? And David had an idea of maybe a whimsical kind of map. And, you know, if we drill down into that idea, it could be not this map here that you have on your table, but this is an idea of it. And kind of bringing out the golf courses in the area. There could maybe be some insets, you know, you show City Hall and the parks and kind of really make it fun. That probably could be done by a call to artists where we would have some people submit for that. And then it could be, you know, submitted as some kind of a digital art, and then it could be made into the wrap. I don't think it would need to be painted as a mural on the wall. I think it could be a nice clean wrap. So if people go by it, something, you know, you wouldn't damage and that might work. Did you have anything to add to that idea?
No, I agree with you on that. If we think about historical art, although as awesome as it is looking at the pictures, there's plenty of references to historical art. I mean, there's numerous pieces in here. You walk into Barlow's and the entire building, you know, is wrapped in it. So rather than duplicating what we've already done, and some people had brought up last time about some references to some previous individuals, which have already been covered, you know, throughout the city. So I thought maybe doing something a little different that would be more of an appeal, like a visitor center type thing. When you walk in, you know, you see what's there. Because City Hall, while it can be a visiting center, is not really a visiting center. And I think that draws a lot of foot traffic, especially with summer coming up. And I thought it would be a great idea to show off what, on a bird's eye view of what the town has to offer.
What are your thoughts on that particular wall, the one going into the pro shop, and this idea? What are your thoughts?
I think that's a great idea. It's on our busiest corner. It's going to attract a ton of people anyway. Why not give them a little guide? I think it's fantastic.
I think it's great. I think we should include all the various activities people can participate in Liberty Lake. I did notice there were a lot of, on this map, there were a lot of restaurants that are not even here anymore. So I don't know if we'd want to put restaurants on.
Yeah, I think we'd have
On
to be
it, but-
careful
yeah.
about businesses, but
Yeah, but I
Think-
think just the activities would be great, and maybe some of the social service agencies that you spoke about before for the welcoming people to our city.
okay, so I suppose we could drill down on that and talk to Laura about developing a call to artists that we could all look at. I can talk to her offline, and maybe she could have a draft by the next meeting where we could see what key points we want to call out, featuring things that we know are going to be there. And if we do it, not just the city limits, but we expand it so you can see the lake on it and the county park at the bottom and all our parks that are operated and run by the city of Liberty Lake, and those things that we know aren't going to change, like the Spokane River hopefully will always be there. It can be on the map too, so. And the trailhead and the Centennial Trail and that sort of thing.
If anybody has ideas, just mail me one off, not to the group, but just one off that you would like to have included, so we can kind of have a working list of what we want to have on that. So if you think of something, hey, by the way, I'd love to see that on there, send me an email and we'll get a list together that we can, once we get an artist approved, or once we get to that point, we can have, a list of priorities, what we want to have on that.
Right.
Or perhaps also, if a business were to meet a certain benchmark, they could have their company listed, and then they could also help pay for the.
Well, I specifically want to stay from any sponsorship advertising. I think, if the business closes, then we've got to redesign it, possibly. So I didn't want to make it, an advertisement board. I think there's plenty of opportunities for businesses in town to do advertising. So I wanted to keep it more something very simple, where, it has pavilion, trailhead, orchard, with even like a little image of winter glow, at trailhead, something like that.
Or like a little barefoot in the park and. yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
And so things that more that the city sponsors, rather than getting, somebody, because I know people would definitely sign up for that. But then I think it's just a lot more work that we as a Parks and Arts Commission, I don't think really need to be involved in that. And like I said, there's a lot of opportunities for them to advertise, beyond this. That's my feelings anyway.
Yeah, I think it's problematic too, to list businesses. If they're gonna do a donation, it could just complicates the whole process too. I like to keep it clean, and maybe the recreational activities and our landmarks.
Goats on there.
Yeah, could put the goats on there and put a little,
Great idea.
and the Red Barn and
Mhm,
Rocky Hill and
And the
yeah,
library and
Custom-
the
and the
visit.
library.
police
You could just
department.
And John's
Transit
Garden.
list ourselves.
Yep, yes.
You could really customize it.
Yeah, I think it could be really fun.
Let's get some crayons and we'll just do it right now.
Well,
I'll go get mine.
Got some in the
You
garden.
probably have some, don't you?
Of course I do.
Well, I love the idea, David, of you gathering, what key things, because, we're just brainstorming right now. We're thinking of a lot of them, but I'm sure there's more that we can come up with. And then that will help, I think, Laura as a guide in creating the call to artists that she's so good at doing. And I'm so grateful for her doing that. And it'll be a fun project.
Yeah, it would be I can envision it as something that, people stand around and they mention, hey, have you seen that that whimsical map they have inside Trailhead, and I think it's a great idea. It really advertises what we have as a city to enjoy. Could even have logos of a firework over the lake, 4th of July, whatever it might be.
So it sounds like we're all in agreement to move forward, and then when we get something more tangible, then, we can make a motion at that time, but we'll gather and recircle the wagons at the next meeting and see where we are on that. The other part of the Trailhead Wall Art Project is the restaurant, hopefully someday restaurant, Mark, entrance. And we haven't heard anything back from the photography club about their possible involvement, but Allison, if everyone remembers, gave an excellent presentation on potentially showcasing student art there. And that program could be managed through the Ridgeline High School art teacher. We had an interest in that. And my thought is we could do it'd be a 1-year rotation. And then the next year, when the next art classes came in, then we would do it again, and we could consider theming it. And then I know, John, you were saying that when you had seen previous photography, rotating projects, that the photographs had come pre-framed with, according to specifications issued by where it was going to be displayed. So we could ask the student art be framed according to our specifications. So it would look like, a nice display that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
tied in.
Mhm.
And then the student at the end of the year would get their framed art that they could take home with them. So I think that was kind of cool. Allison, do you want to weigh in on that a little bit more? And do you think that the art teacher at Ridgeline would be up to helping us manage an annual rotation on that wall?
Yes, the art teacher, Mrs. Chronister, she would love to do that. And we also have like another art teacher, Mr. Genther, who would probably love to do that as well, so they can corroborate on like the students and telling them like, oh, the city of Liberty Lake wants this and this done. I've also mentioned to the teacher that you guys might be interested in doing a more golf theme art piece, and she's completely okay with that as well, because she does have some students who are golfers, and I'm sure they will enjoy doing pieces like that.
I think maybe that the wall being in the event entrance, that we could do Pacific Northwest theme, or even drill down into a City of Liberty Lake theme, which could include golf, or it could include something else. But I think it should be themed to some extent. But I'm love to hear what ideas we have on the commission about that.
Yeah.
What would be your idea of, say, a theme for year one, Allison?
For the next year.
Probably for starting in the fall, I would assume, because we don't have that
Okay.
much time left this year, do we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think starting with the golf thing would be fun, because with it being brand new and everything, it would be cool to see golfing theme art displayed. And then and I'm sure that could be tied to like a Liberty Lake Pacific Northwest theme, because you can do like a bunch of stuff
Mhm.
into one thing.
Right.
And the students will have the art teachers to help them with the ideas and brainstorming. So yeah, like a golf theme.
I know, Allison, when I looked at that wall, and David, maybe you can chime in, but it's a little overwhelming to me about how many pictures we would want. I don't know what size art the school does. Do you think that the art teacher might be willing to make a field trip over to the Trailhead building? I'd be happy to meet him there, and we could talk about the size and how the display might work.
Yeah, I can definitely talk to Mrs. Chronister about that. Yeah.
Because I don't know what size, paper or canvases or whatever.
They can be any sizes, because when I took the alt class, we did pieces on different size paper, and it really doesn't matter as long as we know beforehand what size we want. Because scaling like a physical piece is a little more difficult.
Right, right. Well, maybe you could talk to her and see if she would have an interest, and you could shoot an email and we could get her to go over there and take a look, and then maybe she'd be willing to present her ideas to the commission at our next meeting.
Okay, yeah, I would love that. Okay, so I'll talk to her about it. And do you want me to have her email you guys?
Yeah,
Or,
we can just schedule a time via email. That'd be great.
okay,
You can either,
sounds,
you can email Jen and she can send it out to the group, maybe is probably the easiest way. And if
okay,
somebody else has an interest in going over there from the commission, then they can. We just can't have a quorum, so
yeah, okay,
three or less commissioners.
okay, sounds good.
All right, is everyone comfortable with that?
Oh, yeah.
I think
That
it's
sounds
kind of cool getting the kids involved. Totally.
Yes.
All
And
right.
perhaps
Do we
with
have
it-
that wall on the right side too? I'm trying to remember that smaller wall when we walk through the doors. Was there
When you
space?
go in the entrance of the event center, we have the right wall and it has the same light above it. When you go in either door, we have the wall on the right. And it has a little long metal light thing that shines down on the wall. So,
I was thinking, since you're shooting for fall, that maybe make the pictures, it seems a lot of people have fall photography, or make it seasonal and let that have the four seasons photos kind of thing.
well, the beauty of the rotating wall is it sounds like that we might start with the student art
Mhm.
and get it going. And then maybe next year, instead of student art, we want to switch to local resident photographs or something like that. I mean, we can change it up. We have that ability. We only commit to a year at a time.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be golf every
No.
time. It can be something completely different.
Right. Could be abstract, could be it's by a restaurant, food, I don't know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, all right, well, we'll hopefully hear from Allison and the art teacher and get them over there and maybe get a professional opinion at our next meeting. And meanwhile, you guys will send the ideas to David on the map. All right, that's our trailhead art wall item. Now we'll move to the Pavilion Historical Outlook, which Laura was sorry she couldn't come, but here is her report. I am meeting with the Historical Society to understand their desired level of sponsorship. The goal is still to have something ready for installation in 2024 within the budgeted line item. I will let you know if there is any risk to that or change in the budget. So she's still coordinating that with the Historical Society. So hopefully we'll have more at our next meeting. Moving on to the basketball court, skateboard park finishing and dedication. Another report from Laura. I spoke with Danielle, that's the artist on the basketball court mural, and she would like to target this weekend to complete the court extension if the weather forecast holds. I sent a separate email to Jen, Trevor, and Derek to coordinate schedule and details for her time there. And then she goes on to say she's not doing anything with the dedication, but we didn't expect her to do with that. While we're on this item, we do have David is here from the communications division of the city. And David, I know that you were going to be involved in helping us to coordinate and schedule a dedication. Okay, promote. So once we know that the mural is done, then we can look at scheduling that dedication. I know that we had talked about having some young people maybe utilizing the skateboard park at the time, and maybe a little basketball team on the court or some kids shooting. Do a dedication with council present. That would probably, unless we wait till school's out, it'd be nice to do it sooner. We would probably need to do that on a Saturday, like late morning or something. Mark, what about scheduling something like that with the council? What would our process be?
Once you have a date that you have in mind, we can get it on the council schedule.
And if we did it on a Saturday morning, that would still be,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. We've had some challenges before getting schedules aligned for different things. But I think if you had a date that worked in general, we would just let them know what that is, and hopefully we could get as many of them out there to participate as possible.
and then the mayor, someone could do the ribbon cutting.
Yes,
Okay.
the mayor would typically be involved with ribbon cutting,
Okay.
and that's been less of a challenge to get the mayor's schedule
Right,
aligned with these kinds of things.
right, because there's a lot of moving parts. If we want youth for demo, the
Right,
Hoop Fest people want to come, so we have to do it not preferably soon, not too close to Hoop Fest weekend and just getting the press release out and all that, so.
yeah, I would say considering all of those moving parts, set the date that works for the majority of those moving parts. And then we'll get council plugged in, and whoever is available will be available.
Okay.
What if you tied it to another event that's gonna be at Pavilion Park?
Such
already?
as,
4th of July? I know it's later, or barefoot.
I mean, that just seems so late, 'cause
Later.
people will be using it and it'd be nice to
Do it sooner.
kind of kick off the season is what I was thinking, but. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I
we don't
think
really
the
have anything.
sooner the better.
Yeah.
Before it sees really heavy traffic.
Yeah. So if we use it kind of a kickoff of summer with the spruced up look and the new basketball goals and
Yeah.
all that,
I mean, easier to kick 10 kids off the court than 20 kids off the court.
right? Well, maybe we don't want to mess with Memorial Day weekend, but maybe we can do it right before or right after.
Yeah.
So why don't I email the Hoop Fest folks, because with Hoop Fest coming, I don't, they're a harder piece of the puzzle to get to come.
Could
And
also
then-
do it maybe with the day of the first movie in the park or a movie in the park.
Do we know
since
what
there's
that's
gonna be
schedule
extra
is?
people.
July 3rd.
Oh, that's not till July 3rd is the
Okay.
first movie.
Okay. For some reason, I thought they were earlier than that, but you're right.
I mean, if we do it as a separate event, maybe we'll get more attention for it too, rather it being diluted. Well, I'll email Hoop Fest and see if they can give us a couple dates that might work. On a Saturday morning, like at 11 or something.
Yeah.
Or David, would it be better to do it like at 1 on a Saturday or? Okay,
Based on my experience with not only things like that here, but things like that generally, the early, before lunch is better.
okay, okay. So maybe we'll shoot for a Saturday about 11.
I think 11 is perfect.
Okay, okay.
That would be nice. We could do Saturday, May 11th. 11 on the 11th.
11 on the 11th. Is that Mother's Day?
No, that's a Saturday.
Oh, that's a
Mother's Day is the
Saturday.
next day.
Well, Mother's Day is every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty, well, I guess that's not too soon. That's a possibility, because when's our next meeting? May
6th.
6th, so we probably need to finalize it then, so May 11 might be a little close. What's the Saturday before Memorial Day?
The 25th?
Is that Memorial Day weekend or the weekend before? What's the Saturday before that then?
The 18th.
The 18th. And then what's the first Saturday after Memorial Day?
June 1st.
Oh, June 1st. So maybe either May 18 or June 1. Okay, I'll suggest those to Hoop Fest and see what they say. And then we can finalize it at our next meeting, if that sounds okay to everybody.
What role does Hoop Fest play in this event?
They donated the 4 new backboards and basketball goals. The nets and the nice plexiglass backboards, and they is about $10,000 worth of equipment.
Okay.
And they represent basketball in this
Right.
area, so.
Did you want to have any other like skateboarders or bikers?
Oh, yeah, I want to have
or anything like
skateboarders
that?
too, because we're gonna have both artists. Oh, that's another piece of the moving puzzle, 2 artists. So I'm gonna have to make a list, 2 artists, Hoop Fest, City Council, the mayor, us, and youth demos in both areas.
Okay.
And I don't have a clue how, I mean, I can ask the Hoop Fest folks about, well, I think Laura's son might play on some basketball teams. Maybe, does anybody know any skateboard people?
My son, my niece, my nephew.
Well, there you are.
Okay.
Yeah, I can reach out to the elementary schools.
Yeah, let's get a date and then we can try to find, some kids to come out and, I mean, just be kids
Yeah.
and have
Maybe
fun in both
skateboarding
areas.
is more of a junior high or high school thing. I don't remember.
I think honestly, on a
Like-
Saturday in late spring, early summer, you're not gonna have any issue.
They're
with
gonna be
kids
there
being
anyway.
It's gonna be busy.
Yeah, we can have a few people bring people just in case, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, what's our next agenda item? Discussion of council workshop goals. So, does everyone remember about that we want to schedule an annual workshop with council? Now, what's the other commission called?
Community engagement.
Community engagement. I always want to call them communications. Community engagement, they have, I guess, 2 workshops a year, but they are dealing directly with a lot of communication issues. But it seems like there's a way that we can engage more with council, and when we were saying the agenda, Jen and I, we were discussing that maybe the ideal time is we go through our strategic plan, which we'll start doing at our next meeting. We'll start working on budget items to go with those goals, with the goal that we submit the budget to Mark in August. We finalize it at the August meeting. So if we have a workshop between our July meeting and our August meeting, then we can share with council what our strategic plan is and our vision moving forward, what our budget might look like. It'll give us some real talking points. And then, we can also talk about involvement in larger projects and how they see us being involved, like in the town square master plan. And, we can add some of those discussion items, but the key points will be to really share with them what we're doing and what they can expect to see on our budget, which, would be up to them to approve in the fall. And like I say, to me, when I was thinking, what would our agenda look like for a workshop? It just seemed like a natural fit that we could share with them our strategic plan and our budget for the upcoming year and what we're looking at in the years to follow, since our plan usually goes out, what is it? 1, 2, 3, there's 4 years on the plan. What are your thoughts? Sound good, or? So those workshops, if I'm correct, Mark, would be on a Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Yes, so we have a couple of options. Certainly the 6 p.m. workshop for this kind of thing would be preferable because you're going to want typically the entire hour to have that dialogue. But if necessary, we could push that to the 7 o'clock workshop too, but I would recommend the 6.
Yeah, I think that would work for us. So is that something that you could go ahead and start looking at dates between our July and our August meeting, or how do we do that?
Yes, we can pencil you in for one of those meetings. And then as soon as I can verify that there's actually an opening, I'll get it confirmed. Off the top of my head, I don't think there's going to be an issue.
I mean, if we
scheduling.
had to, we could do it between the June and July meeting, because we will have had a May and a June meeting discussion.
Right,
So we could push it up, but we can't push it the other way because that would defeat the purpose.
right. Yeah, so I'll take a look at that last June through the first August meeting and get you confirmed on one of those and let you know what that is.
Okay, perfect, perfect. That's great. All right, and then sometime before then, we'll actually have to work together on setting an agenda and seeing what other topics we might want to cover, but we would have an hour, so that should be, I would think, plenty of time and a good opportunity for council to give us feedback on, what they're thinking. All right, our next agenda item is the Kramer Liberty Lake Together Call to Artists. If you look in your packet, Laura has put together a draft call to artists that I hope you've had an opportunity to look over. And her notes that she gave me to share with you are as follows. I put a not to exceed $20,000 in the updated and attached call to artist document. This is less than what was budgeted for this year. I did this so extra money can be put towards landscaping design costs if necessary. My recollection is that the number was larger, thinking that we'd be targeting the roundabout versus the smaller triangle parcel that we decided on at the last meeting. Please advise if this should be different. If the commission approval is required to move forward, please request a motion to approve the call to artists. Once approved, I'll send out to artists in the community and request a social media post as well. So on our budget, we had budgeted, hold on, we had $32,500 for the Kramer Parkway project, and that's under our Liberty Lake Together art category. So, and we could, use some of that for landscaping, especially if there was something special we wanted done that would be outside your park maintenance budget. I don't know. I'm still unsure about carrying over budget money. If the DOT didn't release the roundabout, could we carry over that unspent money for something in the roundabout on the north end of the bridge for next year? Because we didn't know when we set the budget that it wasn't going to be released by the DOT yet. So I don't know. We've never carried over budgeted funds. Mark?
So carrying over is just a matter of making a proviso in the next budget. And we do that all the time.
Okay.
So it's a matter essentially of forecasting the fact that we're not going to spend it in the given year for whatever reason, and then just moving it forward in the budget and making sure that it's appropriated in the year that it's going to be spent. And then we'll, from an accounting perspective, just account for the fact that it was moved and not spent. And that's, like I said, that's done all the time for various reasons.
Okay, I just didn't want to use it or lose it scenario because
Right.
we're waiting for the DOT.
Right. And this is, this is general fund money, I think, isn't it, Jen?
It's public art fund.
But it's sourced from the general fund.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. So it's not like a special revenue where you have those kinds of parameters on it where it's use or lose. So
Right.
That's not an issue.
Okay, so we just have to make a note in our budget for next year if we're carrying over funds for a project we were unable to complete.
Yeah, and we typically, that's part of our review anyway, is to kind of sniff out as we get to the last quarter of the year, trying to sniff out those things that we may have budgeted that we need to push forward. And a good example of that is the library police window project. That's the exact same thing that happened with that. And so we would just use that as an example for this conversation and say, we would note the fact that that expenditure is not going to happen in the current year, and we would just push it into the next budget.
Right. Because we have several line items. I mean, because we can't do the utility boxes either because they're not released. So that would also
I
be,
think the difference from past years, there was confusion about carryover. Carryover, if the project doesn't get done, but it's slated for this year and it commission desires to push it to the next year, we just notate that in the new upcoming draft. It doesn't automatically get carried over. though.
Correct.
Then that was the confusion from past years is it doesn't just automatically.
If we
get carried over.
accidentally didn't spend all the
Right,
money.
it,
in the
it
line.
zeroes out.
Right.
So it, but we can make a statement and the commission can make the recommendation. We didn't do it this year. We want to do it next year. Or the other caveat is if you're halfway through a project and December 31st creeps up, you know, hopefully we've anticipated that project won't be completed by the turn of the year and we've carried
Right,
that,
so
that
it's-
funding over.
The carryover is more for specific projects.
Yeah,
For whatever
correct.
reason were completed versus some
Just
coins we
automatic.
left on the table.
Yes,
Got it.
exactly.
Understood. Okay.
Hey, touching on the signal boxes, are they available to be done at all?
Not until 25.
Because if you go by it, I went by and looked at it and they stand out like a sore thumb on that corner. So.
They're still under WashDOT through 25. They haven't signed them
Okay.
off to the city. Yeah.
And see, I'm completely with you and to me, it's on our little triangle of property, but
Mhm.
I guess it doesn't matter.
So it's until through 2025 after
At,
20?
at some point in 25. Lisa will be here at the next
That's
meeting.
not
That,
a long time.
no, it's next year sometime.
Yeah. Because it would be nice to do something that would contrast with the art nicely, you know, you just something colorful or something to clean it up because it
Well-
looks real industrial.
Well, maybe it's good that we have to wait because by then we'll have the art installed and then we can,
Match them.
yes, exactly. All right.
Oh, at the last meeting, didn't we discuss perhaps having a board or something that shows the different service organizations and their symbol? I think we mentioned that.
That was a subject of discussion, but we decided to go with the call to artists for the sculpture thing instead, but to me, almost, well, that's a subject for another day when we get to the strategic plan.
Oh, okay.
How's that? Okay, so that's all we have on the Kramer Parkway project. So if everyone likes the call to artists that Laura's put together, we could use a motion, so we could move forward with that. To approve
Sure, I'll.
the document and go ahead and,
I move that we use the outline document for a call to artists.
I'll
For
second.
the Liberty Lake Together art piece.
okay, it's been moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Noel. It's been moved and seconded. And Katie, you're welcome to vote because we're down commissioners, so please let your voice be heard.
Okay.
So it's been moved and seconded that we go ahead and approve the call to artists created by Laura Frank and have her send that out and get going. All in favor? Any opposed? Please show the motion passes unanimously. That's exciting. I'm really excited about that project.
Me too.
All right, our next agenda item is Bicycle Communities Update by Katie.
Hi. So I've been researching more about updating our Liberty Lake status on a bike-friendly and safe community. And so the next step that we need to do is have a bike audit. So I think I'd mentioned at the previous meetings that we could have various bikers bike from our town center where the Liberty Lake Farmers Market is out to a couple bike parks on the north end, River District of Liberty Lake, and also 2 parks on the south end, and then meet back together. And so we need to move forward in doing that. So I talked to a couple of community members and we thought that we might do that on May 11th, Saturday at 10. And basically whoever wants to be, the more the merrier as far as biking. But there's basically 4 things we're looking at, like who's biking, the streets and crossings, the safety there. Is there bike parking? Is there car-free paths in Liberty Lake? Well, we have the Centennial Trail, which is great. And then just safety in general when you're biking on the arterials and just the appeal of biking in Liberty Lake. So basically there's 4 areas and I was just talking to our tech person before the meeting, possibly we could have a survey monkey type thing where we could let people in the community go to a survey site and give input on biking in Liberty Lake. The people, other than the people that are in the bike audit, of course, we could just do pencil and paper, but it might be kind of cool to have a online thing where people could give input. So
So the bike audit is just volunteer participants that are
Yeah.
going, and it's just observation.
yeah, it's
Okay.
just observation. It's biking slowly, looking at our community, or we don't have any bike lanes in our community painted, so we might look at arterials where we feel like there's safety concerns where we might want to paint some bike lanes. Do we
We
have
have some right out here on Country Vista.
on Mission? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, we'll be looking at the different arterials and see, do we have safety, the various safety bike lanes? Do we feel that's comprehensive enough? So eventually we'd want to have a master plan of bike paths and walking crosswalks in Liberty Lake. But this is just, as I mentioned, there's a grant that I can apply for the end of June. So if we do a little bike audit, I can have some information to put into that grant, where then we could maybe get some money for developing more things for bikers and walkers to encourage safety and appeal in our community. So
Great, Katie.
That sounds really
yeah.
interesting. So, Jen, logistically, if Katie is taking the lead on that and getting some volunteers, is that like kind of a subcommittee of the commission? And if commissioners want to volunteer, then that's a meeting, or how do you see that working?
If we have a quorum, then it gets published as a, well, if it's a quorum, technically, to be safe, we would publish it as a public meeting. But if there isn't discussion that can be argued, if there isn't business discussion that could be argued, or public decisions being made, which when you're bicycling, you're not really in that world
No.
of parks and arts.
And everybody's going different directions, I think.
Yeah. And it sounds to me like this is more of an assessment versus an actual community event.
no, it's just for
Some individ-
observation,
Yeah,
just for people to give input.
casual.
Yeah, just observations that we can write down, and we'll type it all up. And then, obviously I can present it to all of us and to whoever else that want to know. And then I will put it in this grant that I will be writing to the Bike Alliance, the National Bike Alliance. That's giving these Spark grants, which $1,500, it's not a lot of money, but still some money, which would be great. And then I can update our status
Mhm,
as a bike-friendly community
mhm.
here that's
I
10
mean,
years old.
bicycle communities is called out in the ordinance,
Mhm.
so this could technically be considered a subcommittee of sorts.
Mhm.
It would be up to the commission's.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, are you comfortable with gathering the volunteer group
Yeah.
and taking that on, and
Mhm.
what support would you need for that?
Well, possibly if we could have a survey site where people could put our information, maybe a little tech support.
David, you're probably sorry you came to this meeting.
We've got a service. Online service.
Is that something that Katie could meet with you on to see how that might work for this project?
And it can be real simple for this. Doesn't have to be complicated.
Even better.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So you could set up a meeting with David
Okay,
and
perfect.
yeah, and work on that. But I love the idea, and I think it's great moving forward because people like to ride their bikes here, and there's a lot of activity with that. And they have that one, rim
Rim ride.
Rim ride, yeah.
Rotary rim ride.
every year. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for
Okay.
taking that on.
Yeah, be fun.
Have you thought any more? Because I think you mentioned it to me once that maybe at Barefoot having like a bike safety thing or something like that.
We could, do helmet fitting if you want, or we could do something there.
Might be something
Yeah.
to think about, because we
Uh-huh.
will have the booth
Yeah, you could
space.
do it. You could do something in the
Yeah,
booth.
and we could get something on the schedule that at certain time at our booth.
Yeah, if we have a little access to some pavement, we could do
Mhm.
bike skills if you wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know about pavement. Pavement
Parking
might be
lot,
a
we could, parking lot or the Hoop Town court. Or the
Mhm.
South Basketball Court.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, something to think
Sure.
about. We still have time.
Oh,
Thank you for being our bike person.
yeah.
Greatly
thanks.
appreciated. All right, that concludes our unfinished and new business, and we didn't have anything under action items this time. We'll have a few things next time, I know already, but I guess we're ready for our staff report.
Thank you. I won't go through every single item that's on here, but I'll highlight what is coming up and what's new and different. For park and facility updates, Mikal has been working very hard on updating our website. So if you get an opportunity, I did print the before and after photo page printouts that are in your packet of what the website looked before on the Parks and Recreation side as compared to what it looks like now. So he took it from a lot of filler language down to a nice clean cut, click here, click here, click here. Already it's been amazing to have him on to be seeing those changes that we haven't been able to implement. He also will be bringing to you at the next meeting some discussion of the fee schedule and hopefully some ideas and some proposals to changing some of the fee structures. As we start having those budget discussions, I think the timing on that will be really good. We'll have a list here of upcoming events, particularly the nearest ones. Arbor Day celebration, it's on a Friday at noon at the Diamonds Ball Fields. We'll be planting a tree. We did invite both schools and Liberty Lunch Academy. So we may have a lot of kids there, hopefully. And then the following day is Spring Cleanup Day at Town Square Park. The flyers for that, the waste management coupons will go out prior about 2 weeks before the event to subscribing waste management users. And the rest of the events will fall into line. We still are hopeful, and in fact, Wednesday have a meeting with the coordinating group for the 4th of July community-wide event, and still open to your last minute suggestions of naming this 2-day event thing to consist of community parade, the boat parade, the fireworks on the lake, the city fireworks, and then the city activities at the park, and then the July 3rd movie and the park to kick it off. So looking for, I think Joni did send some, she sent this, she was the only one I think so far that had sent some suggestions for names.
Are
So,
there suggestions coming from other entities?
yes. David nods his head. So if you have any thoughts, let me know sooner than later. Projects that are up and coming, there is a meeting tomorrow that staff is going to be attending regarding the Centennial Trail overlay. There hasn't been a lot of public information about this until recently, and after tomorrow, we will know more. But basically, the section of trail from State Line for the 12 or 14 miles to the west will be closing this summer for months while they overlay the trail. They will be staging, the contractors will be using the Harvard Trailhead as a staging point for their work. So that's definitely gonna be a challenge for park trail users. We have notification through Washington State Parks that we will be relaying out through our social media website and any other routes that we can get the information out. Farmers Market, a lot of the events this year that were on the trail were canceled because of this. The goal for next year will be to finish the other from the west up to Riverside State Park with an overlay. So ideally, the whole trail will be overlaid. They're going through the funding for that right now. It does need it, yes. So we'll keep you updated on that. And then in ties with that, the Greenstone is working with the city on the trailhead, Harvard Trailhead renovation, but we're timing that very carefully and planning it. It won't happen until late late summer, early fall, once the overlay has happened and the contractors have moved on. Lots of projects going on at the parks. Michaela and I had a recreation software presentation provided to us this last month. And so we're now looking at hopefully coming up to speed with the times and potentially next year being able to use this software to have park users, shelter reservations, sports field reservations happen online. Right now, that all happens on paper or through an email or a phone call. So it will help us get with the times for people to be able to register online for these activities, and it will all be managed by one calendar. Right now, we're using our Outlook calendars, and it's not the most reliable. And it's incredibly staff heavy, staff laden to type in all of these reservations. So that's exciting. And then I did put a picture of the Smarty sign in there in case anybody didn't get to see the finished product. It looks really great, and we've had a lot of positive feedback, especially once KHQ shared the information out to social media. It's been very well received. I was pleasantly surprised that it was so positive. There was so much positive feedback on that. So I think that's, and the city is the only city in the region that has done anything like it. So I think the word will spread and others will pop up. Some upcoming agenda items that will be brought forth to the Parks and Arts Commission for consideration. We've been, obviously, we know there's a playground slated for next year. I'm starting those conversations with a vendor right now just to know what we're in for. So I'm not going about addressing a vendor without going to the commission first. It's simply, I need information from a vendor to really feel what this project is going to be like in expense and is this going to be complete redesign? Is this going to be just structure replacements? What is this thing going to be? So I'll have a meeting with them, hopefully end of April, mid to end of April. We'll bring back some information to the commission and start those conversations soon, even though it's not going to happen until 25, because it does take a lot of planning to redo this playground, particularly with the boulder art is that what it's called? The boulder art that is slated to go with it. There will be many players in this discussion. It will be the Parks and Arts Commission. Obviously, it will be the city council. It will be staff. It will be our risk manager will have to be involved in this. And then any procurement, whatever the procurement of that project is going to look like, it will be a large project. So lots of players involved, but definitely everything will come, all the discussions will come to the Parks and Arts Commission to be weighed out and vetted out.
Can you tell us where the playground is? Can it be?
The Pavilion Park Playground?
That's what you're talking?
Yeah.
That's redoing, you're redoing
Yeah,
that.
it
Okay.
was installed, I believe, in 1996. So it's at the end of its
Right.
life.
Okay, gotcha.
In playground years, that's ancient.
Yeah, that's old. It is still
I played on
functional
that
and it's
playground.
not a hazard, but it is past its life. And then we talked about the budget, we talked about council goals, the fee schedule. At the next meeting, Lisa Key, our building and planning director, will be presenting to you on the comp plan that she's going to be working on over the next, I believe, 2 years. So within the comp plan, that's a periodic overhaul, and I believe it's 20 years. It's been we're on year 20, right? Before.
So the
That-
period, yeah, so it's a 20-year plan. It looks out 20 years. This particular revision happens on a 10-year cycle.
Okay.
So we update the comp plan every year, but this is the big periodic update that happens at 10-year intervals.
And within that comp plan is a section that is park and recreation trails plan that currently is 267 pages. So I did not print it for you today. And our goal is to bring that way down there. There's, if you have the time and you're really curious and interested, I've read through it.
Did you already email it out to the commission?
No, I'll email it out ahead of, and unless you want it printed,
What, email it way ahead?
Yeah,
That's
I can email it. Yeah, I can email it this
Yeah,
week.
because
if
that's a
you want.
lot of reading materials.
Yeah. But our goal is to scale it down. However, I've also attached in this packet a work plan that Lisa provided that shows the Parks and Arts Commission's involvement. And so she highlighted, it's the very last page of her packet, she highlighted in yellow the commission's involvement and portion, how they're going to be involved and what the timeline of that progress looks like. So there will be a lot of input. There will be a lot of input from Parks and Arts on that park plan. So, yeah, we have our work cut out.
Yes, we do.
Mhm. And then the last little bit, is, would anybody like to volunteer for the April 23rd council report? City council report.
I'll do that.
John, you'll do that?
Would you,
Awesome job.
Laura is always willing to create a few slides to go with your talking points if you want. You can shoot her an email and she's happy to do that.
Okay.
Sometimes it's nice to just have that as a reference point, but thanks for
Yeah,
doing that.
thank you for doing that.
23rd.
23rd,
23rd,
that's 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Tuesday night.
And then follow up to the drone conversation that we had versus fireworks. I did receive an email from our pyrotechnician. There was really no data. I don't know time lengths. I don't know sizes. I don't know music. I don't know style, but he said they start at $30,000 for a drone show. And that if we wanted further information, he could provide information at a later time.
And remind me what's regular fireworks cost?
About 14,000 for a 13-minute show.
Huh.
So
This is like double.
again, I don't have anything to compare it to other than numbers. So if it's an hour, might be a bargain. I don't
Well,
doubt
yeah.
it's an hour, but
Yeah,
yeah. Are there any questions?
I just had an unrelated question when you were talking about the Centennial Trail. Did I just read there was like graffiti on the tunnel and the city crews took care of it or something, or?
The county takes care of the
Oh.
county bridge.
Okay.
So that's we take care of everything along the trail within about a 6-foot radius on either side of the pavement
Okay,
per the agreement. The trail actually belongs to state parks though.
Right.
Nothing is owned by the city.
yeah,
It's just maintained.
right. Okay, any questions on Laura's report? All right, John, thank you so much for doing that on the 23rd. That's very nice. So that's our staff report. Our next meeting is May 6th, and that's probably gonna be a little bit of a long one because we have the comp plan, the strategic plan, the fees. We have a lot of hard work to do the next time. Anything else for the greater good? So do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Do you have a second?
Second.
John, second by John. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.